Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. I am Chip Skipper here with Integrity Sports Entertainment, and somebody better call Charlie Tuna because we are going international for this wonderful night of independent wrestling action here in Sydney, Australia. Coming down to the ring first for round one of the Survivor Unstoppable tournament is Dan Archer. 6'2" of some certified badassitude. Dan Archer is known to be a bit of a focused technician, though not afraid to get rough and tumble when the time calls. Oh my god, Dan Archer with the disrespectful thrust of the crotch at the families in attendance. Complete irreverence from Dan Archer here. An Australian crowd would normally get hyped for. He seems to have it out for the fans in attendance. He does not particularly like the high bombacity of these sorts of events. And his opponent tonight, Paris de Silva, a lot shorter in stature, more of a true blue cruiserweight. This man is a certified high flyer, going at mock speeds that his opponents usually have trouble even comprehending. Paris de Silva very clearly at a size disadvantage in this matchup, but we can be sure that he will be running circles around Dan Archer in his efforts to win. And when he has, on a number of times in his career, both of these men coming into this match with about a decade of experience to their names, but through very different fighting styles inside the squared circle. Paris de Silva getting a very warm welcome from this audience. It is clear that he is the fan favorite here tonight. Dan Archer getting ready, Paris de Silva getting ready, referee running the checks. We're about to start this bad boy off. This is round one of the Survivor Unstoppable tournament, which means that whoever wins this match will have to compete in a fatal four-way later tonight for the championship, which may affect their strategy going into this. After all, they do not want to be too tired or too injured to properly compete later in the night. Paris de Silva trying to rally this crowd to his attention. Dan Archer doing the absolute opposite, definitely not playing his cards as close to his chest as he probably should, revealing that he prefers to focus in order to apply his technical holds. He's going to have a little bit of trouble with the crowd as rowdy as they are in Sydney, Australia, but he's lived here before. He's fought here before for about a decade. He's won titles in this region, so he should be able to get used to it, even though he has played his hand. He's not really feeling this opening lockup, immediately pushing Paris de Silva away, despite the considerable size advantage, and one has to assume strength advantage as well. Paris de Silva gladly going in for another pawn to e4, quickly getting outpowered by Dan Archer. Simple shove. Paris de Silva kipping back up to his feet. Dan Archer taking offense to it personally. Kick to the gut, headlock. Paris de Silva trying to fight out of it, but Dan Archer off of the ropes with a shoulder block. Paris de Silva kipping back up to his feet on the run. Rolls over the trip. Oh my god. The leapfrog by Dan Archer, but Paris de Silva is just a bit faster, catching him off with that flying head scissors, followed by an extremely high drop kick, going for a pin. Dan Archer kicking out at one. Paris de Silva, though, definitely getting the upper hand in that opening conflict. Paris de Silva wrenching on the arms here, not letting Dan Archer get his will back together after being so thoroughly shaken in that opening. Dan Archer asking Paris de Silva to hold on for a moment. Paris de Silva with the excellent wrist control. He's looking more like the technician tonight. Incredible arm wrench, tucking his leg in, stepping up onto his back. What the hell does he have in mind here? Putting all of his relatively diminutive body weight on that back, wrenching on the other arm. Putting all of the focus on Dan Archer. Dan Archer not wanting to fall to the mat. Trying to make his way to the ropes, but both of his arms are taken, forced to bite the ropes to break free of this hold. Paris de Silva dismounting. Dan Archer very, very upset at how the referee is handling things, how the audience has been handling him, spinning heel kick with the sole of the boot, catching him, tilt-a-whirl backbreaker from Dan Archer, throwing him off the ropes, clubbing back elbow on the return. Dan Archer is pissed. This man wants vengeance. Paris de Silva kicking out immediately, wanting to keep the energy high, and it looks like Dan Archer is willing to match his pace. Spinning scoop slam to the mat. Dan Archer, look at the power in this man. Elbow drop to the back. Dan Archer running on emotions here. Going for another pin out of instinct. Paris de Silva kicking out right as the referee hits one. Dan Archer visibly upset, wanting to put the pain in, but it looks like he's coming down off of that high. Willing to get a bit more methodical against Paris de Silva here. Dropping that 12-6 elbow right on the top of his head, just cracking that skull from behind. Vicious move, incredibly effective, using the ropes for extra height on that stomp to the small of the back. Paris de Silva in pain. The sheer power advantage of Dan Archer really coming in handy, holding him up high, vertical, very high vertical, stalling suplex from Dan Archer, letting the blood flow to Paris de Silva's head before dropping him on the mat. Dan Archer in full control here, repeatedly going for those pins. It looks like he's not necessarily expecting them to go through, more just wanting Paris de Silva to continue exerting energy, not allowing Paris de Silva to catch a break here, lifting him up again for another scoop slam. Paris de Silva escaping out the back door. Paris de Silva leaping over the shoulder charge. Paris de Silva trying to escape, using the middle rope to spring over another charge. Going low angle scoop slam into a flipping pin from Paris de Silva. Oh my God! Dan Archer matching or exceeding Paris de Silva's height on that dropkick. Dan Archer, what can this man not do? He's not afraid to get technical. He's not afraid to get rough and tumble. He's not afraid to get just high flying with that dropkick. Dan Archer, combined with his size advantage, I mean, I don't know what Paris de Silva can do to get an advantage other than the mental advantage of being able to handle the crowd. Two backbreakers in a row by Dan Silva, stretching out the spine of Paris de Silva. Paris de Silva climbing on the back from behind again. Oh my God, octopus stretch on the standing opponent, putting all of his weight on the spine of Dan Archer. Dan Archer forcing him into the corner to break him up, lifting him up again. Oh my God, single knee backbreaker. Very smooth, incredible fundamentals, very nearly getting the 3 count there. Dan Archer on the come from behind. Dan Archer is a menace. Oh God, twisting the legs like a pretzel. Going for a cross-legged bow and arrow. Can he get him pulled back into the bow and arrow? He's got both legs on the midsection. Bow and arrow. He's got one of the arms tucked in. He's got the 2 legs crossed over one another, yanking back on the throat of Paris de Silva, really stretching the rule book here. Paris de Silva flipping over into a pin. Very nearly on accident. Dan Archer losing his grip there. Spinning soul kick to the gut. Paris de Silva still feeling the aches in his spine with every movement he makes. Super kick flattening Dan Archer. Paris de Silva is on a roll, but he has to try to finish this off before his spine finishes him off. Tilt a whirl DDT from Paris Silva. That could have gone either way, getting all of his weight into that pin, but it wasn't enough. Dan Archer kicking out. Paris de Silva really quite the speedster. Dan Archer, though, an all-around maniac, an all-around super athlete with some experience to boot. Paris de Silva rightfully realizing that he needs to put this match away. He needs to just kind of go for it, because if this match keeps going any longer, he's not going to have the energy. He's going for his signature shooting star press to finish off his opponent, but Dan Archer getting to his feet before Paris de Silva can jump, but he goes for the crossbody. Dan Archer catches him with ease, basically a deadlift into a fireman's air raid noise. Oh my God, very nearly a 3 count. Paris de Silva kicking out at 2.9. Air raid crash, excuse me. Holy shit. Dan Archer Well, now he's sort of feeling it. Now he's on board with the crowd. Oh, no, maybe not. He's trying to get them to be impressed with his maneuvers, but the crowd just aren't feeling him tonight. Going to just focus on the match, but this might have bought Paris de Silva enough time to get out of the way. Flipping senton from Dan Archer, really going high. But he waited too long, running enziguri for Paris de Silva, clocking him on the side of the head. He's going for it this time, leaping up out of the ring, climbing to the top rope. Can he hit his signature shooting star press from here to finish off the night? Shooting star press lands, tucking in both legs, all of his weight on the shoulders. A pristine pinning combination after that shooting star press. Textbook work by Paris de Silva to put away a genuinely frightening opponent in the form of Dan Archer. Dan Archer is not a man to mess with. Paris de Silva really had to put his all into that one, and after the damage it did to his spine, is not looking good for his potential in the main event tonight. Whispering to the referee something might have something to do with an injury. Nevertheless, an excellent performance from Paris de Silva with a victory. Thank you all very much for watching. This has been Chip Skipper with Integrity Sports Entertainment, and I hope to see y'all next time. Have a wonderful night.